In 2014, the property market in Malaysia was starting to go downhill. And there was this very young, handsome real estate negotiator who was looking at different ways to increase his income. He was focused on the luxury property market. So sales were not so good. He was looking at different ways to increase his sales. And he's sitting in a property investment talk on London properties. For the first time in his life, he hears the word Airbnb. Because these guys say, we will sell you properties and we'll manage it and we'll get you returns by putting it on Airbnb. So this real estate negotiator goes back home that night, looks up Airbnb. He goes into the website and he thinks this is something that can work here. I can probably help my clients rent out their apartment short term and get paid to do this. So he goes and talks to two of his clients. He sold some properties to them and he says, can I take your property and put it on Airbnb? Two clients trust him enough. They say, okay, here's the keys, go and do it. From there, he embarks on one of the biggest learning curves in his life. Before he knows it, he's hosting his first guest. Things are going really well, profits are good. He grows, and from 2014 to 2018, he grows to about 50 apartments on Airbnb. And while all this is going on, he's really gung-ho, and he's looking at expanding further, probably 100, 200 apartments. But little does he know that there is some problem lurking in the future. By 2018, property prices for Airbnb start to drop. There's a lot of people, the market is getting saturated, there's price wars, and his profits start to drop drastically. Now this Airbnb entrepreneur or real estate negotiator is standing before you today. I lied about two things, about him being handsome and young. But the rest is true. So he grew to 50 apartments and he did really well. My story is very relevant to you because it's a story of market disruption, opportunity, and the challenges emerging technologies and new business models present. It is relevant to you because more and more property investors today are looking towards Airbnb to generate cash flow. And it is very, very important that you're able to formulate cohesive and good Airbnb strategies to do well. Today, if you want to do well in Airbnb, you have to think out of the box. If you want to do well in Airbnb, you have to know the situation on the ground, how to steer through the challenges, and how to take advantage of the opportunities there, and what the future holds for this new burgeoning industry called short-term accommodation. And the rest of my presentation is going to help you prepare for that. Are you all with me? You all don't sound like you're with me. Are you all with me? Okay. So we have to explore, go back in time and see how Airbnb started to understand the strategies that you should employ today. So 5 years ago, Airbnb was this perfect platform for homestays, okay? If you look at how the website looked like 5 years ago, there's a very warm feeling. It was this perfect platform because it helped or it facilitated conversations between hosts and guests and created meaningful relationships. So before a host can book your apartment, a conversation took place. The guest will ask you, hi, Mr. Ikhram, can I book your apartment? And then the host would ask, you know, are you coming here on holiday or is it business? And they both spoke until they were comfortable with each other, and then a booking took place. And Airbnb had a cult-like following, very cult-like, meaning hosts went out of their way to ensure that their guests enjoyed their stay. It was very common for hosts to go and fetch their guests from airport. I did that. Take them out for dinner, show them around the city. I had friends who would cook breakfast in the morning and bring it to their guests. And it was this wonderful experience for both the host and the guest. The host wanted to meet new people and enjoyed sharing a part of the local culture, and the guests enjoyed this. Okay, so meaningful relationships were created, and it was very cult-like. Airbnb had a very, very strong community. Is the, Alicia, the mic keeps flickering. Sorry. So it had a very, very strong community. But what started to happen as more and more players started to see that there was this huge opportunity in the short-term accommodation market, they started to take advantage of it. So suddenly you had people like Agoda, Expedia, TripAdvisor, Booking.com, Ctrip. These people were all exclusively hotel platforms in the past. But they saw this big opportunity. Airbnb was, you know, creating a new market. It was very exciting. It was very profitable. So they came into the fray. And as they came into the fray and started competing with Airbnb for the same market, Airbnb responded by becoming more like them. So this is how Airbnb's website looks like today. This is how it looked like 5 years ago. Can you tell the difference? It was a very warm website before. It was very focused on accommodations. Today it's become very transactional. So there's no more conversations that take place between host and guest like before. Now you have something called instant book. So you're almost like a hotel. They have concepts like Airbnb Plus. In the past, every Airbnb was an Airbnb Plus. But today, they try to differentiate because the quality of hosts are actually getting bad. Okay? So as they started responding to the other OTAs, becoming more like them, we also had other big hosts coming in. So you had people like TuneTalk, you have people like Oyo, and you have Hyatt House. Now between the three of them, they've got billions of dollars to play in this market. They can really reshape the whole landscape. So these people added to Airbnb's problems, but as Airbnb was responding by becoming more like them, the entire experience became very ubiquitous, which means their cult-like following started to wane. So in previous predictions, Airbnb was supposed to grow by this phenomenal level by 2021. It was supposed to have 17.6 million users. That has been revised today to 6.1 million users. And another thing started to happen. More and more people started entering the market. So you started having price wars. And the hotel industry also responded. So they started reducing their prices. Now, if you're not already aware, Malaysia has some of the cheapest hotel rates in the region, probably in the world. So this is a 5-star hotel, Sunway Putra Hotel, 164 ringgit a night. Dorset, Kuala Lumpur, 262 a night. Hotel Maya, 226 ringgit a night. Royal Chulan in Damansara, 221 ringgit a night. So Airbnbs who were able to charge much higher than this in the past, they found it difficult to now continue charging this price. And what happened was a lot of them started dropping prices a lot. So you see 78 ringgit a night, 82 ringgit a night, 140 ringgit a night. Prices were starting to drop. Now, in the past, it used to be like this. If you wanted to be successful with Airbnb, and I used to run lots of workshops and tell people this is exactly what you need to do, you pick the right location. What's the right location? It has to be it has to be accessible to tourist attractions. It has to be close to a shopping mall. It has to be close to public transport. It has to be close to to entertainment centers, and the amenities and facilities of the building has to be very good. So if you got this right, half your problem is solved. You can do well in Airbnb. So you just got yourself in the right location, and then you presented your property very well, in the best possible light. Okay? So this is the first place that I started doing Airbnb. It's a place called Regalia in Kuala Lumpur, and I wanted to show the world, or the guests that I was going to host, right? I wanted them to be able to see this beautiful infinity pool with a fantastic view of the Twin Towers. Can you see the Twin Towers there? Can? Okay. And KL Tower. Now, not many places in Kuala Lumpur offered a view where you can see the Twin Towers and KL Tower. I went up on a bright day, and I took this photo with a DSLR camera. Nice or not? Sorry? Haze. Some people said nice. They were very kind. Thank you very much. Yes, it looks very hazy. If I were a tourist, I would be scared to come to Kuala Lumpur. So I discovered this later, and I found out that presentation is very important. So this exact photo, right? I decided to change it. I thought I better not be stingy. You heard of the saying, right? Penny wise, pound foolish. Have you all heard of that? Okay, I didn't want to be penny wise, pound foolish. I contracted a photographer. I said, go in the morning and get me the best done photo of this infinity pool. And this is what he did for me. Now would you book the place? My bookings went up by about 15% when I did this. So if you presented yourself well, it was quite easy to get guests in the past. And then you priced yourself correctly. So you didn't arbitrarily pull out a figure from you know where, but you worked out what your cost was. Say, for example, my cost is 3,000 ringgit a month on the apartment, all right? So I would work on it backwards. 3,000, so with a 50% occupancy, I should be charging 200 ringgit a night. And it wasn't very hard to get a 50% occupancy. Anything beyond that is a bonus. And then you focused on being a good host. Your guests come, you treat them nicely. Remember I said very cult-like following before? So we picked up our guests, we spoke to them, we took them around. I made very, very good friends in the early days when I was doing Airbnb. And you got great reviews. So reviews is what made Airbnb very popular, and you focused on that. And then you put yourself on as many OTAs as possible. OTAs means online travel agencies. So Agoda, Expedia, Airbnb, TripAdvisor, Hotels.com, as many as you could, right? And then you grew to as many listings as fast as possible. So if you're a property investor with 1 or 2 properties and you're happy with it, that's fine. But if you wanted to make some serious bucks, you started taking on more units. So it became very common for people to start taking 10, 15, 20 units, right? So in the past, this worked very well. It was a good model. Anyone who followed it, I would tell them you can do reasonably well in Airbnb. But today, all the people are doing the same thing. Everyone has got fantastic presentation. Everyone is in the right location. They're all in KLCC. They're all near tourist attractions. Most projects are near public transportation. it's harder to charge it's harder to work backwards. That means you can't say, my cost is 3,000 ringgit, so I'm going to charge 200 ringgit a night. Because if you try and charge 200 ringgit a night, you'll be competing with all these people who are put 95, 82, 74 ringgit, 66 ringgit. My God. You will have a major problem if you put 200 ringgit. Right? So you can't just simply price yourself anymore by working out your cost and working out your price backwards. And the guests, as Airbnb started moving mainstream, right, you started getting guests who expected hotel-like services. So to get those 5-star reviews, not as easy as before. You know, everything is ubiquitous. All the units are the same. Everyone is trying to please the guests. Everyone has got many units, so that personalization is slowly starting to disappear. And you're now coming mainstream. Guests expect you to be like Shangri-La. They want to pay kampong house rates, but they want Shangri-La service. This is the situation on the ground, right? So it's becoming harder and harder to please guests and get those good reviews. And now, if you list yourself in as many OTAs as possible, we've started to find that it can affect your Airbnb rankings.
Testing,
now, Airbnb
one,
has
two,
not
one,
said this officially, but I've seen this with my own listings. I'll still do consulting work for some operators in Kuala Lumpur. And I noticed that when you block your Airbnb calendar because you're on other OTAs, so say you get a booking from Agoda, okay, for 3 nights, you have to block your calendar for that listing on Airbnb for 3 nights. Otherwise, you're going to have a double booking. So when you block your calendar on Airbnb, and you do this very often, that means many nights are blocked, your ranking starts to drop. And I think this is because Airbnb starts to feel, or the algorithm starts to feel, that you're not a serious host. Your calendar is always blocked. Okay? So now, by putting yourself in as many OTAs as possible, it might work against you. To succeed, therefore, you have to employ out-of-the-box ideas. Do you want to know what those out-of-the-box ideas are? I'm not hearing y'all. Okay. So the first thing that you must have with Airbnb, and this was actually from day one, when I started doing it, I focused on this a lot, is to have a very strong USP. Not USB thumb drive, unique selling proposition. Okay? Now if you look at the Airbnbs here, okay, these two stand out because this person is charging 999 ringgit a night. This person is charging 1,649 ringgit a night. Now, why are they able to charge so much? And if you look at the number of reviews he has, if this is blurred to you, it's 174 reviews. If you do the math, 174 bookings multiplied by 1,649, this guy has made over 200,000 in a short span of time. And not all guests leave reviews, you know. About 30% of guests never leave a review. So it's probably more than that. Now, he's able to charge that price and get good bookings because he has a very good USP, glass house. Ooh, glass house, you know, with nice jungle and all that, right? These other apartments all look very similar. You see this person, the happiness home. Would you like to be happy? Would you like to live in the happiness home? He has a USP. And this person, this listing is outside of KLCC. He's charging 177 ringgit a night. He's making money. Whereas this listing is in KLCC, it's 78 ringgit a night. No USP. So if you have a very strong USP, you can charge and you can get bookings. I do some consulting work for a very big operator, and they had a meeting with Airbnb recently. Airbnb was shocked because their price is nearly triple what the rest of the market is charging, but their bookings are quite good because they focus on a strong USP. You also need to start thinking of yourself as a cleaning company. A lot of Airbnb hosts now don't look at themselves as Airbnb hosts per se, but they look at themselves as cleaning company. Why? Because you can actually charge a cleaning fee. So they might charge low on the daily rate, but they make up for it in cleaning. This person is charging 100 ringgit on cleaning. If you get 20 days of bookings, right, that's an additional 2,000 ringgit. And that can be clean profit. You need to get as personal as possible. So Airbnb started to lose its cult-like following because it lost that personal touch. And now it's not as easy because you can instant book and all that, but you can still templatize everything, meaning from the time someone books, you can continuously send messages. So we have messages to tell our guests, give them exact instructions on how to check in. After they've checked in, there's a follow-up. How are you? Is everything okay? If you need anything, don't forget to call us. 2 days later, again, there's another message. All these are templates. So it's just a 2-minute click. Get as personal as possible. Make your guests feel like you are genuinely concerned for them. Don't get this personal, okay? Find a niche and exploit it to the max. So I have a friend who is a very successful host. What he's done is, because he can speak French, he makes it known on Airbnb, I'm a French-speaking host. And he focuses 100% on the French market, French tourists who arrive in Kuala Lumpur. He's doing extremely well. His bookings are great because he's focusing on a niche. So how I got this picture was I Googled French tourists and this is what came up. Experiences. Now, this is a game changer in Airbnb. If there's anything at all that puts Airbnb at an advantage, it's this. Airbnb allows people to sell experiences, and you can add that on. You can actually work with tour guides, you can work with people who know the local area well, and offer experiences, and this can add to your daily rate, to your income. So those are the out-of-the-box ideas, right? If you employ them, you will definitely do far better than most other Airbnb hosts. You can make money. There are some market threats that are taking place. So Airbnb affected the budget and 3-star hotel market. It didn't really put a dent in the 4-star, 5-star hotel market, because people who go and stay in 4-star and 5-star hotels, they won't go and stay in an Airbnb. They want a different level of service. They want a reception, they want to be able to call and get housekeeping done every day. It's a different market altogether. So the budget hotel and the 3-star hotel market is responding. So they are starting to put themselves in good locations. They are starting to find ways to make the whole hotel experience better. And they're giving a serious fight for Airbnb. There's a possibility of oversupply. So the market is getting a little congested. Everyone is coming in. Everyone thinks Airbnb is the answer, okay? And it is. You can make money, right? But you must be aware that there's a lot of competition. And in order for you to succeed, you have to employ those out-of-the-box ideas. Government regulation. So there's always this scepter hanging over Airbnb, like, will the government ban it? Thankfully, in Malaysia, the government is quite committed. They've come up with a framework now where they have more or less said they're not going to ban Airbnb. So Airbnb can operate. They've just got some guidelines that we need to follow. And the rise of titans. I just mentioned to you earlier, there are people like Oyo, Hyatt House, and Tune Hotels, which are coming into the market. These guys are big. They're huge. Okay, and between them, they have billions of dollars. They can outmarket normal hosts like you and me. So how do you handle those market threats? What do you do? Oyo, Hyatt House, and Tune Hotels and all, they may have the cash, but they are missing something. What made Airbnb great was that personalized touch, personalized services. I think moving forward, hosts are going to find that they have to go back to Airbnb's roots to be successful. The big guys, the big brands, right, they can't give the level of personalization that individual hosts like you can give to your guests. So look back towards creating meaningful relationships with your guests. You will get repeat bookings, you will get good reviews. Those 5-star reviews will pour in and your bookings will increase. That's the end of my presentation. I'll go back to the out-of-box strategies again with you. So the first thing that you need to do is to have a really good USP, number one. Number two, think of yourself as a cleaning company. Make money on the cleaning. Your Airbnb guests, they're quite used to paying cleaning fees. So you can charge this. Get as personalized as possible. Create templates, messages to constantly, don't barrage your guests with, every second, what's up, how are you, and all that. You just annoy them. But time it properly. Daily, perhaps. One message, just find out how they're doing. Is there anything I can help you with, and so forth. Find a niche and exploit it. Like my friend who focuses on the French market. Use experiences to create more income, and go back towards focus on personalized services, on being as personal as possible with your guests, and you'll be able to outbeat the titans. Okay, that's it. For all of you, I've written a book about investing in property, and it's free. So it's one of the most downloaded ebooks on property. Okay, you can actually go to livingspaceventures.com and download it. Just all I ask for in exchange is your email address, and we can continue with the conversation. Thank you very much.